take it out of me. Don't hate me when you see me. Keep it real, keep it honest and three. Keep it there. Don't hate me when you see me. Keep it real, keep it honest. Don't worry about that. You my brother, I know it. I ain't worried about that. That's love, I know it. What you going through? Wasn't personal, amen. I know what you plan to say. Don't gotta take it out of me. Oh damn, oh man. I'ma take the lead so you can follow. That's what it takes to bring the bottle. Pick it up, yeah. Dance on the floor, breaking it down. Pick it up, yeah. Whoa, look at the groom, look at the bride. We pick it up, yeah. Group of the friends, family around, they drinking up, yeah. They drinking up, they pick it up, yeah. Look at the groom, look at the bride, they pick it up, yeah. Dancing around on the floor, around and around, they pick it up. They pick it up, you doing alright, you pick it up, yeah. You pick it up when the sun coming down, you know it's time. I ain't turning back. I've been thinking about tonight. I've been counting the moons up to the day. Now I'm on the way. I don't wanna waste no time. Cause I keep going through the pages, flipping like I'm going through the phases. Even when they tell me that I'm crazy, waiting on the Lord, cause that's what faith is. It's called patience, patience, yeah. I need patience, patience. Back on the road, don't know the way, you know. Show me the way, don't know the way, you know it. I don't know where I'm going. Oh Lord, I'm waiting for you. Are you waiting for me to get right? Cause you've been hiding from me. There you are, you wouldn't lie. You said you come back and show me all your mystery. Oh yeah. Mystery, misery, oh, oh, oh. Yeah, you spread us out just for a while, you drop us down, you pick it up, yeah, dance on the floor, breaking it down, pick it up, yeah, wow, look at the groom, look at the bride, we pick it up, yeah, group of the friends, family around, they drinking up, yeah, they drinking up, they pick it up, yeah. Look at the groom, look at the bride, they pick it up, yeah. Dancing around on the floor, around and around, they pick it up, hey. They pick it up, you doing alright, you pick it up, yeah. You pick it up, yeah. Look at the groom, look at the bride, the key to our heart, the light in my eyes. So long it was wrong, let's do it right. They coming in rent, subscription applied. No time to waste, the chat outside. Let's hop in the ride and take to the sky. Fall from the dust, you came from my side to give you the sense that means she was mine. Flaring from Tinga, that antidote. My love, she as sweet as a cantaloupe. If she a dragon, a antidote. Father, I pray that I'm ravished in love like an antelope. I put to a vote, I like damage, though, so I'm contented on keeping the hope. In peace, possess she is soul. Or 44 coming and still a little more time to go. Oh damn, it's about time we can hold hands. Fingers in the twine with a slow dance. Turn music loud for the slow jams. Oh man, oh you. Came to the laws, breaking no rules. Being to your face like you're supposed to. Hey, shalom, shalom, family. Most High in Christ. Bless, Most High in Christ. Bless. We'll go ahead and get started. All praises to the Most High. So today's topic is Grecians, the rise of an evil empire. Can everybody hear me? Everybody hear me. All praise to the Most High. I know it's early. get your coffee, and we are going to get started with some history in the AM. So let me go ahead and bear with me. Let me get it. Okay, so Romans chapter 15 and verse 4. Can everybody hear me? All praise to the Most High. Romans chapter 15 and verse 4. It says, "For whatsoever things were written aforetime were written for our learning, that we through patience and comfort of the scriptures might have hope." So what we must understand that the things that were written before time were written for us to learn from. Oftentimes we get caught up in captivity and we forget about the things that fell upon our people. So let me get Deuteronomy chapter 28, because we must understand that we have enemies. Oftentimes we don't think that we do, because we may think, yeah, there's some good Edomite folk out here. Esau, some good folk out here. Watch this right here. Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 48. It says, therefore, well, hold on. I'm gonna start at verse 32. Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 32. It says, "Thy sons and thy daughters shall be given unto another people, and thine eyes shall look and fail with longing for them all the day long, and there shall be no might in thine hand." If we look at what's happening to our northern kingdom brethren right now, they're being given unto another people, and we have no might. We have no military might. Only might we have is the Most High God. That's all we have right now. And we must understand that our sons and our daughters are being given unto another people, and a damn thing we can do about it. Verse 48, it says, "Therefore shall thou serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee." So what we must understand, that the Lord sent these enemies against us. Why? Why? Because we broke his commandments. We did not want to keep his laws, statutes, and commandments with joyfulness and gladness. I'm going to jump up to verse 47. It says, "Because thou servest not the Lord thy God with joyfulness and with gladness of heart, for the abundance of all things." We didn't want to keep God's commandments with the abundance of all things. So what happened? He sent his enemies against us because we broke his commandments. Verse 48, "Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee, in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness and in want of all things. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he hath destroyed thee." So who did this happen to? Who was destroyed through slavery? And we got to ask ourselves that question. Who was destroyed through slavery? The blacks, the Latinos, and the native Indians. We were destroyed through slavery. Watch, it gets plainer. Verse 49, "The Lord shall bring a nation against thee from far, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flieth." Who still to this day looks at themselves, they identify themselves as the eagle, the great bird of prey? Esau, Edom, Idumea. That's who. That's who. Read that again. "The Lord shall bring a nation," not an individual, a nation, "against thee from far, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flieth. A nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand." Verse 50. Watch this, watch this, watch this. "A nation of fierce countenance, which shall not regard the person of old, nor show favor to the young." They didn't give a damn about the old, and they sure as hell didn't regard the young. They didn't care. They did not care. Watch this. Hold on. Let me show you something. Watch this. Bear with me. Wait a minute. Psalm chapter 55, verse 20. It says, "He hath put forth his hands against such as be at peace with him. He hath broken his covenant. The words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil, yet were they drawn swords." So whose countenance? They didn't care about the old, or they didn't care about the young. They didn't give a damn. They didn't care. They came with war and the sword. That's how Esau rolls. That's how they roll. They don't care about the young, and they damn sure don't care about the old. So I'm going to go back. Deuteronomy 28, verse 50. "A nation of fierce countenance, which shall not regard the person of the old, nor show favor to the young. So he didn't care about the old or the young. So, all right, let me get these Roman numerals pulled up. Bear with me because we're about to get into it. Let me get it. All right, so this is gonna make sense real quick. Well, no, I don't want that yet. I don't want that yet. Don't want that yet. All right, I'm gonna go to Daniel chapter 2. Let's get to it. Time running, and I don't want to run out of time. Daniel chapter 2, verse 32. Give y'all some quick history, quick cheat code. Daniel chapter 2, verse 32. It says, this image's head was of fine gold. So this image head right here of fine gold, this was Babylon. This was Babylon from 605 to 539 BC. His breast and his arms of silver. His breast and his arms of silver. This is Persian Mede, 539 BC to 331 BC. His belly and his thighs of brass. His belly and his thighs of brass. So who conquered the Persian Medes? That was the the Greeks. The Greeks. 331 BC to 168 BC. Verse 33. His legs of iron, his feet part of iron and part of clay. So that was Rome. That was Rome. 46 BC to 193 AD. And of course, after Rome, we had America. We had America. So I'm going to go through that one more time. I know y'all taking notes and y'all are paying attention. So I'm going to read that one more time. This is Daniel chapter 2, verse 32. This image's head was of fine gold. That's Babylon. 605 BC. That is Babylon. All right. His breast and his arms of silver. His belly and his thighs of brass. So you had Babylon, you had Persian Mede, 539 BC, his belly and his thighs of brass. Then you had the Greeks. All right, so now let's go to Daniel chapter 7, verse 6. The book of Daniel chapter 7, verse 6. After this I beheld, and lo, another like a leopard. These are our Greeks, which had upon the back of it 4 wings of a fowl. The beast also 4 heads, and dominion was given to it. So those 4 heads, we're going to read about that in the book of Maccabees. I'm starting slow so we all can make sure that we're on point. Started slow so we all can make sure we're on point. Daniel chapter 10. We're going to read verse 20. Daniel chapter 10 and verse 20. Then said he, knowest thou wherefore I come unto thee? And now I will return to fight with the prince of Persia. So the Persian Medes. Who returned to fight with the Persian Medes? This was Alexander. I am going forth. Lo, the prince of Grecia shall come. This is Alexander the Greek. Alexander the Greek shall come. Let's talk about Alexander here. He shall come. Daniel 11. All right. So we're about to go into Ptolemy and Seleucus. They were feuding in Daniel chapter 11. So we're about to go through this. We're about to go through Daniel chapter 11 because they were feuding. We'll touch on some key points. Then we got some articles I'm going to show you. I'm going to read some history to show you how the rise of an evil empire, things start to come together for the Greeks, how they all start to unite. And we got caught up in a lot of these things. We started getting attacked and we started to fall into their customs and lose our culture, our history, and our nationality. So we're going to go through it. All right, so Daniel chapter 11, and I'm going to read verse 1. It's a feud between Ptolemy. Let me get this up so y'all know who we're talking about. It's going to make sense. I know oftentimes, let me go back. I used to struggle with Roman numerals. So I like to keep it very, very basic so we can understand. Daniel chapter 11, verse 1. Also I, in the first year of Darius, the Mede, even I stood to confirm and to strengthen him. Verse 2.
And now, when I show thee the truth, behold, there shall stand up yet three kings. This is Cyrus, Cambius, and Darius II in Persia, and the fourth shall be far richer than they all. And by his strength, through his riches, he shall stir up all against the realm of Grecia. The Greeks, the Greeks, the Greeks, the Grecians. All right. Verse 3. And a mighty king shall stand up, that shall rule with great dominion, and do according to his will. This is Alexander. He shall do according to his will. Because Alexander the Greek, when he hit the scene, he was conquering everything. He was not playing. He was a flaming homosexual. He'd go in your behind, but he would kick your behind at the same time. Verse 4. And when he shall stand up, his kingdom shall be broken, and shall be divided towards the four winds of heaven, and not to his posterity, nor according to his dominion which he ruled. For his kingdom shall be plucked up, even of others beside those. This is Ptolemy Salter, the southern. All right. Is it in verse 5? Watch this. And the king of the south shall be strong, and one of his princes Seleucus, and he shall be strong above him, and have dominion. His dominion shall be a great dominion. All right. And in the end of the years they shall join themselves together. For the king's daughter of the south shall come to the king of the north to make an agreement, but she shall not retain the power of the arm, neither shall he stand nor his own, but she shall be given up. And they brought her, and he that begat her, and he that strengthened her in these times. Ptolemy the second. So let me show you these. Watch this. So make sure everybody paying attention to these Roman numerals, 1 to 100. We're not going to go all the way to 100, of course, but pay attention to the Roman numerals because it's going to start to get interesting once we get into the Greeks. The Greeks, the Greeks, the Greeks. So when they started to come into power, I'm going slow so we all get a good refresher. Seleucus, the Seleucid dynasty, Antiochus. Go to my Roman numeral. This is Antiochus the fourth. Epiphanes, notably. 2nd century BC, roughly between 167 BC to 164 BC. All right. So now I'm going to jump to verse 30. Daniel chapter 11, verse 30. Watch this. Daniel chapter 11, verse 30. For the ships of Chittim, all right, shall come against him. Therefore he shall be grieved and return, and have indignation against the holy covenant. This is Israel, have indignation against Israel. So shall he do. He shall even return and have intelligence with them that forsake the holy covenant. This is wicked men. Let me show you that. First Maccabees 1:11. Watch this. First Maccabees chapter 1, verse 11. Don't get to Maccabees. I'm just taking my time. First Maccabees chapter 1, verse 11. In those days went there out of Israel wicked men who persuaded many, saying, Let us go up and make a covenant with the heathen that are round about us. But since we departed from them, we had much sorrow. So we always had wicked men amongst us that like to make a covenant with the heathen. They like to make deals with the heathen, like we just read about in Daniel chapter 11, verse 30. Verse 31. And arms, I'm going to read verse 30 again. For the ships of Chittim, this is Rome and Italy. For the ships of Chittim shall come against him. Therefore he shall be grieved and return, and have indignation against the holy covenant. So shall he do. He shall even return and have intelligence with them that forsake the holy covenant. Verse 31. And arms shall stand of his part, and they shall pollute the sanctuary of strength, and shall take away the daily sacrifice, and they shall place the abomination that maketh desolation. Verse 32. And such as do wickedly against covenant shall he corrupt by flatteries. They tried to do this with Mattathias. They always try to have smooth words to corrupt us. But the Lord the Lord sent us relief for a period of time. But this empire right here, these Edomites, these people right here, they are the devil the Bible speaks of. Read on. Verse 31. No, verse 32. And such as do wickedly against the covenant shall he corrupt by flatteries. But the people that do know their God shall be strong and do exploits. And they that understand among the people shall instruct many. Yet they shall fall by the sword, and by flame, by captivity, and by spoil many days. Now, when they shall fall, they shall be holpen with a little help. This is Judas Maccabeus. His name means the hammering. This was the little help. So the Lord always gave us a little help. He gave us a little help with Joshua, Judas Maccabeus. He always sent someone to help Israel, to help us in our times of struggles. So I'm going to read that again. Daniel chapter 11, verse 34. Now, when they shall fall, they shall be holpen with a little help, but many shall cleave to them with flatteries. All right. So now, let me get First Maccabees chapter 1, verse 51. Who's familiar with this book? Who is familiar with this book right here? You know how this book right here? Get the blue one. The Bible Atlas. All right, get the blue book if you can get it. Because we're about to get into Ptolemy. Flip past Maccabees for Maccabees chapter 1. Let me get it. Here we go. First Maccabees chapter 1 and verse 51. This is that making desolate we referred to in Daniel 11 and 31. First Maccabees chapter 1 verse 51. In the self same manner, wrote to he. Let me read that again. As a matter of fact, let me jump to verse 50. And whosoever would not do according to the commandment of the king, he said he should die. In the self same manner wrote he to his whole kingdom and appointed overseers over all the people, commanding the city of Judea to sacrifice city by city. So who was commanding these things? This is King Antiochus. He put out a decree that we should sacrifice. And if we wouldn't sacrifice, guess what? We were put to death. We were put to death. So there was feuding going on between these two. Let me show you the map. So check this out. Under the Ptolemies, there was feuding going on. There was fighting going on. First Maccabees chapter 1, verse 18. And made war against Ptolemy. Let me jump up. I'm going to jump at 10. First Maccabees chapter 1, verse 10. And there came out of them a wicked root, Antiochus, surnamed Epiphanes. This is Antiochus the fourth. Antiochus the fourth, son of Antiochus the king, who had been an hostage at Rome. And he reigned in the 137th year of the kingdom of the Greeks. So pay attention to the map. They were warring. They were fighting. They were fighting. Jump back down to verse 18. And made war against Ptolemy, king of Egypt. But Ptolemy was afraid of him and fled, and many were wounded to death. So pay attention to the map. Pay attention to the map. Let me get the second one. Bear with me. Bear with me. So notice the Seleucid Empire and Antiochus. Pay attention to the map. Notice the area. And notice today, you have Syria right here. You have Asia Minor. Because remember, the empire was split. You had Cassander. He had the Greece. This area right here, Greece. You had Ptolemy. He had Egypt. You had Lysimachus. He had the Asia Minor area. And then you had Seleucus. He had Persian. He had the Persia area. Persia, Syria, Babylon. See this area right here? There's a lot of war going on in this area. You see these little battle spots? They were fighting. There was a lot of fighting going on. All right, so this is the campaign of Antiochus against Egypt. Hold on, let me go back. I'm moving too fast. All right. So notice Samaria. You had Idumea, Judea. This is Jerusalem. Under Ptolemy. Remember, under Ptolemy. See, Ptolemy Psalter, 323 to 285 BC, established Ptolemaic line. All right. I'm taking my time so everybody can see. I'm not rushing. Antiochus III. This is going to make sense when I get to the articles. The Ptolemies right here. See this area, Judea, the campaign. Antiochus IV, the second campaign. That was multiple campaigns. Read that again. First Maccabees chapter 1, verse 18. And made wars against Ptolemy, king of Egypt. But Ptolemy was afraid of him and fled, and many were wounded to death. Thus they got the strong city in the land of Egypt, and he took the spoils thereof. And after that, Antiochus had spent Egypt, he returned again in the 143rd year and went up against Israel and Jerusalem with a great multitude. So they warred amongst themselves. And after they warred amongst themselves, who did they turn and start warring against? They started warring against us, the Israelites. They started to war against us, the Israelites. So are people like they like to run to the heathen? No. Let me see. I don't want that one yet. We're not going to get to that yet. All right. So, all right. Here we go. Got to do a little bit of reading now. A little bit of reading. All right. So check it out. Antiochus. Okay, real quick. Hold on. Let me get my. That's why I understand the tech team's plight. This is Antiochus the fourth, Epiphanes. All right, we're gonna do a little quick dive into them. We're gonna jump back into Maccabees. I like everybody to understand. All right, so Antiochus the fourth, Epiphanes. He was born around 215 BCE, died about 165. Praise the Lord. Was the Seleucid king of the Hellenistic Syrian kingdom who reigned from 175 to 164 BCE. As a ruler, he was best known for his encroachment of Greek culture and institutions. So what does that mean? What does that mean? Watch this. Second Maccabees chapter 6. Because we often read, Jew nor Greek, bond nor free, right? Jew nor Greek, bond nor free. Christians say that all the time. Watch this. But what they understand is history, right? Second Maccabees chapter 6, verse 6. Neither was it lawful for a man to keep Sabbath days or ancient feasts, or to profess himself at all to be a Jew. So we could not call ourselves Jews. That's why when Paul said Jew nor Greek, bond nor free, who are the Greeks? Who are the Greeks? We couldn't profess ourselves to be Jews. We were being Hellenized. Under who? Antiochus. The rise of an evil empire. Because our people do not understand. These people did everything that they could diabolically to make sure we couldn't keep God's laws, statutes, and commandments. It was not a game. They weren't playing with us. So I'm going to read on because I got a lot to get through. Antiochus the fourth. was a Seleucid king of the Hellenistic Syrian kingdom who reigned from 175 to 164 BCE. As a ruler, he was best known for his encroachments of Greek culture and institutions. His attempts to surpass Judaism brought on the wars of the Maccabees. So at a point, our people we said the hell with it. We started getting fed up, and what we do, we started to fight back. We started to fight back. When we get into the Hasmonean dynasty, you'll start to understand what was going on. We started to fight back. Early career. Antiochus was the third son of Antiochus III, the Great. After his father's defeat by the Romans in 190 to 189, he served as a hostage. Because remember, we read that First Maccabees chapter 1. First Maccabees chapter 1, verse 10. And there came out of them a wicked root, Antiochus surnamed Epiphanes, son of Antiochus the king, who had been in hostage at Rome. So Antiochus was the third son of Antiochus III the Great after his father's defeat by the Romans in 190-189. He served as hostage for his father in Rome from 189 to 175, where he learned to he learned to admire Roman institutions and policies. So oftentimes you hear about the Greco-Roman time period. He was held hostage at Rome, so he started to admire. That should tell you right there. He wasn't being when you hear being held hostages. Hostages when you're being held hostage, a hostage is usually not treated very good. But okay, how the hell he's being held hostage at Rome, but he's admiring the Romans? That tells you right there they weren't doing him nothing. Esau's the devil the Bible speak of. His brother, King Seleucus IV, exchanged him for Demetrius, the son of Seleucus. And after Seleucus was murdered by the Hellenodians and usurper, Antiochus in turn ousted him. During the period of uncertainty in Syria, the guardians of Ptolemy the Sixth, the Egyptian ruler, laid claim to Chloe, Syria. This is war. They lay claim and they fought. They covered fields and they take them by violence. Palestine and Phoenicia was Antiochus third, which Antiochus III had conquered. Both the Syrian and the Egyptian parties appealed to Rome for help, but the Senate refused to take sides. In 173 AD, Antiochus, hold on, let me show you the Senate, because they set up a Senate house. This is Bible, First Maccabees chapter 8, verse, let me find it, 15. I'll start at verse 15. Moreover, how they had made for themselves a Senate house, wherewith 320 men sat in council daily, consulting always for the people, to the end they might be well ordered, and that they committed their government to one man every year, who ruled over all their country, and that all were obedient to that one, and that there was neither envy nor emulation among them. So they always committed themselves to one. Who was that? I'm going to jump to verse 1. First Maccabees chapter 8, verse 1. Now Judas had heard of the fame of the Romans. The Romans. They commit themselves to one man every year. So who adopted that? America. America adopted this philosophy. Well, they adopted these things. So let me go back. Let me find it where I leave off at. I won't pick it up. All right. Okay. Both Syrian and Egyptian parties appealed to Rome for help, but the Senate refused to take sides. In 173, Antiochus paid the remainder of the war indemnity that he be imposed by the Romans on Antiochus III at the Treaty of Apamia. So let me get the next one. And this is kind of dry, but we need to understand these things. All right. Antiochus forestalled an Egyptian expedition to the Palestine by invading Egypt. He defeated the Egyptians between Pelusium and Mount Kaisan, conquered Pelusium, and in 169 occupied Egypt with the expectation of Alexandria, the capital. Ptolemy, watch this, these guys were fighting like hell. Hold on. That would be Ptolemy the sixth was Antiochus's nephew. Antiochus' sister Cleopatra the first had married Ptolemy the fifth. She married Ptolemy the fifth, and Antiochus contented himself with ruling Egypt as Ptolemy's guardian, giving Rome no excuse for intervention. The citizens of Alexandria, however, appeared to Ptolemy the eighth, the brother of Ptolemy, because remember, these Ptolemy is six, and to his sister Cleopatra the second, to form a rival government. Disturbances in Palestine forced Antiochus to return to Syria, but he safeguarded his access to Egypt with a strong garrison in Pelusium. In the winter of 169 168, Perseus of Macedonia in vain begged Antiochus to join forces with him against the danger that Rome presented to all the Hellenistic monarchs. In Egypt, Ptolemy the sixth made common cause with his brother and sister and sent a renewed request to Rome for aid. Antiochus prepared for battle. The fleet of Antiochus won a victory at Cyprus, whose government surrendered the island to him. Antiochus invaded Egypt again in 168, demanding that Cyprus and Pelusium be ceded to him. Occupied Lower Egypt. Let me go back to my map. Let me show you. Let me go back to the map. Lower Egypt. Let me get it. Let me get it. Bear with me. It's harder than it looks. So shout out to the tech team. Lower Egypt. Lower Egypt. He occupied down off in here. Lower Egypt and camped outside of Alexandria. So y'all see that right there? He occupied this area and camped outside of Alexandria. This is Alexandria right here. The Romans demand Antiochus cease the siege and return to Palestine. They demanded that he stop fighting and go to Palestine. Notice they were fighting, and our people, we were getting caught up. We were getting caught up. All right. The cause of the Ptolemaians seemed lost. But on June 22nd, 168, the Romans defeated Perseus and his Macedonians at Pydana, and they deprived Antiochus of the benefit of his victory. In Eleusis, a suburb in Alexandria, the Roman ambassador, Gaius, let me see. I'm trying to get to the Maccabees, so bear with me. Gaius presented Antiochus with the ultimatum that he evacuate Egypt and Cyprus immediately. Antiochus, taken by surprise, asked for time to consider. Popolius, however, drew a circle in the earth around the king with his walking stick and demanded an unequivocal answer before Antiochus left the circle. Dismayed by the public humiliation, the king quickly agreed to comply. Rome intervention had reestablished the status quo by being allowed to retain southern Syria, to which Egypt had laid claim. Antiochus was able to preserve the territorial integrity of his realm. Efforts to Hellenize the kingdom. This is what I want to get to. Efforts to Hellenize the kingdom. Both economically and socially, he made efforts to strengthen his kingdom, inhabited in the main by non-Greeks, by founding and fostering Greek cities. Even before he had begun his reign, he had contributed to the building of the temple of Zeus in Athens and to adornment of the theater. He enlarged Antioch on the Ortus by adding a section to the city named Amphimia after him. There he built an aqueduct, a council hall, a marketplace, and a temple to Jupiter. A temple to Jupiter. Capitolium's Babylon, which revered him as Psalter. Liberator and savior of Asia, was given a Greek colony that was granted freedom of the city. Another empire was found in Armenia, in Persia, which also named Amphimia and became a Greek city. Many of these cities were granted the right to coin their own municipal currency the mint of Antioch on the Persian Gulf, served to trade along the sea routes between India and the district at the mouth of the great Mesopotamian rivers. Watch this. Here we go. Antiochus' Hellenizing policy brought him into conflict with the prosperous non-Greek temple organizations, and particularly with the Jews. So I'm going to read that again. Antiochus' Hellenizing policy brought him into conflict with the prosperous non-Greek temple organizations, and particularly with the Jews. Why? Why is that? Remember that little help we read about? Because guess what? Our people, we weren't hearing that. We didn't want to hear that. We wanted to keep our laws, statutes, and commandments. So what happened? We began to fight back. We began to rebel. Because guess what? After they started destroying us, destroying our temples, bringing in Jupiter and Olympus, because guess what? When Esau started fighting, what did they start to do? They start to find the very thing that holds us together as a nation, and they start to destroy those things. So we started to fight back. We get to the good stuff. All right. Antiochus' Hellenizing policy brought him into conflict with the prosperous non-Greek temple organizations, and particularly with the Jews. Since Antiochus III reigned in Antiochus III's reign, the Jews had enjoyed extensive autonomy under their high priest. They were divided into two parties, right? They were divided into two parties: the Orthodox Hasidians and a reform party that favored Hellenism. You had the Hasidians and you had the reform party, the Hellenisms. They were Hellenized. For financial reasons, Antiochus supported the reform party, and in return for a considerable sum, permitted the high priest Jason to build a gymnasium. So when we read this in the scriptures, nobody should be surprised. Edomites know this. They understand this, but for some reason, our people, we don't understand this history. So I'm gonna read this again. Watch this. Watch this. Let me get it. First Maccabees, chapter 1, verse 12. So this device pleased them. This device pleased them well. Then certain of the people were so forward herein that they went to the king, who gave them license to do after the ordinance of the heathen. Whereupon they built a place of exercise at Jerusalem according to the custom of the heathen, and made themselves uncircumcised, and forsook the holy covenant, and joined themselves to the heathen, and were sold to do mischief. So let me go back, read that again. Watch this. For financial reasons, Antiochus supported the Reform Party, and in return for a considerable sum, permitted the high priest Jason to build a gymnasium in Jerusalem, and to introduce the Greek mode of educating young people. In 172, for an even bigger tribute, he appointed Menelaus in place of Jason in 169. However, while Antiochus was campaigning in Egypt, Jason conquered Jerusalem, with the exception of the citadel, and murdered many adherents of his rival Menelaus. And Antiochus returned from Egypt in 167. He took Jerusalem by storm and enforced its Hellenization. The city fortified its privilege and was permanently garrisoned by Syrian soldiers. All right, so now let's get to Judas Maccabeus, the revolt. Let's get to the good stuff. All right, the revolt of Judas Maccabeus. The Greeks and those friendly towards them were united into the community of Antiochians. The worship of Yahweh and all the Jewish rites, when I say Jewish, I mean Jews, were forbidden on pain of death. Read that again. The Greeks and those friendly towards them were united into the community of Antiochians. the worship of Yahweh and all of the Jewish, I'm calling Jews, and all of the Jews' rites were forbidden on pain of death. So essentially, what that's going into, we were not permitted to keep our laws. And if we were found keeping our laws, guess what happened to us? We were put to death. Watch this. Watch this. Watch this. Let me find it. Let me get it. First Maccabees, chapter 1, verse. I'll read it, verse 43. It says, Yea, many also of the Israelites consented to his religion, and sacrificed unto idols, and profaned the Sabbath. For the king had sent letters by messenger unto Jerusalem and the cities of Judea, that they should follow the strange laws of the land, and forbid burnt offerings and sacrifices, and drink offerings in the temple, and that they should profane the Sabbath day and festival days, and pollute the sanctuary and holy people, set up altars and groves, and chapels of idols, and sacrifice swine's flesh and unclean beasts, that they should also leave their children uncircumcised, and make their souls abominable with all manner of uncleanness and profanation, to the end that they might forget the law. Because that's what they want us to do. Forget your laws. Stop keeping the commandments. They want us to forget the laws and change all ordinances. And whosoever would not do according to the commandment of the king, he said he should die. He said we could be put to death. He said we should be put to death. Let me go and jump back. Damn time running. All right. Excuse me. So in the temple, an altar of Zeus Olympus, we just read that, was erected, and sacrifices were to be made at the feet of an idol in the image of the king. Against the desecration, Judas Maccabeus, leader of the anti-Greek Jews, led the arousal. I'm not gonna get through all this. Come on. Hasidians in a guerrilla war and several times defeated the generals Antiochus had commissioned. So remember that little help? Let me go back to Daniel and get it. Daniel chapter 11. Daniel chapter 11, verse 34. Now when they shall fall, they shall be holpen with a little help, but many shall cleave to them with flattery. So that was the little help. That was the little help. Judas Maccabeus. He was kicking behind and taking names. Yeah. The Hasidians in a guerrilla war and several times defeated the generals Antiochus had commissioned to deal with the uprising. Judas, refusing a partial amnesty, conquered Judea, with the exception of the Acharia in Jerusalem. And in December 164 was able to tear down the altar of Zeus and reconsecrate the temple. Antiochus apparently had underestimated the strength of the Hasmonean movement. That's what they do. That's what they do. They always underestimate our people. So now, who's the Hasmoneans? Watch this. Check this out. So check this out. Boom. The Hasmonean dynasty. All right. So you had Mattathias, you have Jonathan, you have Eleazar, you have Judas Maccabeus right here, 165, 160, 160. This is our little help. Yeah, we're going to get into Mattathias, time permit. As a matter of fact, we're going to jump into that now. Let's get into Mattathias. Before I want to jump ahead. So first Maccabees, we're going to read about the Hasmonean dynasty, because the Greeks were warned, we'll get caught up. The Lord sent us a little help to help us out. And now we're going to read a little bit about the Hasmonean dynasty. So we're in First Maccabees chapter 2, verse 1. In those days arose Mattathias, the son of John, the son of Simon. This is the Hasmonean dynasty we're reading about. A priest, the son of Jorib, from Jerusalem, and dwelt in Modin. And he had 5 sons, Jonathan called Cadius, Simon called Thassia, Judas was called Maccabeus, the hammering, Eleazar called Avaron, and Jonathan was surnamed Apphus. Verse 6. And when he saw the blasphemies that was committed in Judea and Jerusalem, he said, woe is me. Where, wherefore was I born to see this misery of my people? So what are we reading about? He said, wherefore I'm born to see these miseries of my people. We're reading about the Hasmonean dynasty, all right? Verse 7. He said, woe is me. Wherefore was I born to see this misery of my people and of the holy city, and to dwell there, where it was delivered into the hand of the enemy, and the sanctuary into the hand of strangers. Her temple is become as a man without glory. So the temple has become as a man without glory. You gotta really think our people were seeing these atrocities happen. They were seeing the destruction of their people happen to the point where we got fired up and we say, you know what? We can't stand by and watch this go down. So that we started to see these things, and what are we reading about? We're reading about the history of Hasmonean dynasty. Come on, watch this. Verse 9. Her glorious vessels are carried away into captivity. Her infants are slain in the streets, her young men with the sword of the enemy. What nation has not had a part in her kingdom and gotten of her spoils? He asked a question. What nation? Who was doing these things? The Greeks. The Greeks, the Greeks, the Greeks. Esau, Edom, Idumea. They've always destroyed us and attacked us. It's nothing new. Verse 11. And her ornaments are taken away. Of a free woman she has become a bond slave. And behold, our sanctuary, even our beauty and our glory, is laid waste. And the Gentiles have profaned it. The Gentiles, Esau, Edom, Idumea, they have profaned it. To what end, therefore, shall we live any longer? Then Mattathias and his sons rent their clothes and put on sackcloth and mourn very sorely. In the meanwhile, the king's officers, such as compelled people to revolt, came into the city of Modin to make them sacrifice. So here they come. The king's men, here they come. What they want us to do? They didn't want us to sacrifice to our God. They want us to sacrifice to their gods, like we read about earlier. They always wanted us to sacrifice to their gods. Verse 16. And when many of Israel came unto them, Mattathias also and his sons came together. Then answered the king's officers and said to Mattathias of the wise, thou art a ruler and an honorable and great man in this city, and strengthened with sons and brethren. This is how they come. We read, but you can get it again. This is what they do. This is what they do. They always come like this. They don't just walk, they don't just come out and tell you they're the devil. They always come with these damn smooth words, these sneaky, slick side salesman words. Psalms 55, verse 20. He had put forth his hand against such and be at peace with him, and he had broken his covenant. The words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. His words were softer than oil, yet were they drawn sword. So what did he do? They always come with that. They try to do it with to Mattathias right here. Watch this. Where I leave off at verse 16. First Maccabees chapter 2, verse 16. And when many of Israel came unto them, Mattathias also and his sons came together. Then answered the king's officers and said unto Mattathias on this wise, thou art a ruler and an honorable and great man in this city, and strengthened with sons and brethren. Now therefore come thou first and fulfill the king's commandment, like as all the heathen have done. So what they went to Mattathias, like, hey, you got many brothers. Why don't you just go and fulfill the king's sacrifice like the heathen? They try to come at you like all slick side, smooth with it, words smoother than oil, but wars in their heart. They want to destroy him. Why? Because everybody looked up to Mattathias. They looked up to him. Verse 18. Now therefore come thou first and fulfill the king's commandment, like all the heathen have done. Yea, all the men of Judea also, And such as remain at Jerusalem, so shalt thou and thy house be in the number of the king's friends, and thou and thy children shall be honored with silver and gold and many rewards. So what they try to do, I'm sure they try to do, watch this, Ecclesiastes 7:7. What they try to do? Ecclesiastes chapter 7, verse 7. It says, surely oppression maketh a wise man mad, and a gift destroy the heart. Try to destroy the brother with a gift. You've been warring and conquering us, Hellenizing the hell out of us, and now you want to come with a gift and try to destroy my mind. You want to destroy us as you want to further destroy us because they've already destroyed us. They try to come with a gift to destroy the brother. Watch this. Verse 19. Then Mattathias answered and spake with a loud voice. Through all the nations that are under the king's dominion, obey him and fall away every one from the religion of their fathers and give consent to his commandments. Yet will I and my sons and my brethren walk in the commandment of our fathers. So back right here. He said, look, we gonna this lineage here, we're gonna walk after our fathers. We're not trying to hear that foolishness. We're going to walk after our fathers. I ain't trying to hear it. This is what we're gonna do. We're going to walk after our fathers. Did I get all of that? No, I didn't get all of that. Let me see. I got too much going on. Let me see if I get all of that. Okay. All right. He said, look, we're going to walk after our fathers. This is what it is. Get mad. Get mad. They were big mad. But guess what? Mattathias, he give it down. We're not turning away. We're not deterring it. We're going to walk after our fathers. I'm going to read on. Verse 21. God forbid that we should forsake the law and the ordinances. We will not hearken to the king's word. So you got to think. He made a decision. He said, look, we're not hearkening to your word. We're not going to do it. We are going to keep the commandments. They didn't want to hear that. But you got to really think about it. Who do we have amongst us when we start standing up ourselves? Watch this. You're going to see. Verse 22. We will not hearken to the king's words to go from our religion, either on the right hand or the left. Now, when he had left speaking these words, there came one of the Jews. Here we go. You can't make it up. You got to think. He spoke loud. In verse 19 says, then Mattathias answered and spake with a loud voice. So he spoke loud enough for everybody to hear him. He's speaking loud. Verse 23. First Maccabees chapter 2, verse 23. Now when he had left speaking these words, there came one of the Jews in the sight of all the sanctuary. I'm sorry, read it right. Now when he had left speaking these words, there came one of the Jews in the sight of all to sacrifice on the altar which was at Modin, according to the king's commandments. So here come the Negro. Here come Blackie. You just heard your brother say, we ain't doing that. But here come a destroyed mind. And what do he want to do? He want to go sacrifice. Can't make it up. Which thing, verse 24, which thing, when Mattathias saw, he was inflamed with zeal, and his reins trembled. Neither could he forbear to show his anger according to judgment. Wherefore he ran and slew him upon the altar. So he said, hey, you going to sacrifice? I literally just told y'all we ain't going to do this. We not going to do this. Here he come. Here come Blackie. Ashy black devil. Here he come. I'm going to sacrifice. No, Negro, you not doing that. Verse 24. Which thing when Mattathias saw, he was inflamed with zeal, and his reins trembled, neither could he forbear to show his anger, according to judgment. Wherefore he ran and slew him upon the altar. Also the king's commissioner, who compelled men to sacrifice, he killed at that time. and the altar was pulled out. So he took them out. So you got to think about it. We looked at how Seleucus, Antiochus, how they were Ptolemy, how they were fighting, they were warring against themselves, and he had to make a decision to say, you know what, I'm not gonna stand around and watch this go down, because guess what, we were still being destroyed.